To the honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Malaysia SDG Cities session. Yang berbahagia Datuk Seri Maimunah binti Muhammad Sharif, yang berbahagia Datuk Dolbani Mijan, Town Planner Noliza Hashim, Dr. Neil Kaur from UN Habitat, Ms. Maizura Ismail from UCLG Aspect, Dr. Alice Harigusa, she's online virtually currently, and yang berbahagia Datuk Haris Kasim. I would like to invite Madam Town Planner Noliza Hashim, CEO of Urbanist Malaysia, up on the stage. Please be invited. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Anyway, today this is the last session of day 2. So kita santai-santai saja ya. The Excellency Datuk Sri Maimunah, Executive Director of UN Habitat, and I have my Board of Director Datuk Dolbani here today, and Mayor of Shalam. And everyone that I see, some have been since here morning, especially when I see Kak Yong, I know she's she's the first that I saw at 8 a.m. this morning. So I know that thank you so much for some of you who have really followed Malaysian Urban Forum from yesterday, today, and especially to our virtual participants that have actually logged in. We've actually decided not only to go live on our platform, we are also going live on our FB. So any which way we are fine, because the whole idea is the sharing of the work that others are doing in terms of accelerating the SDGs. Yeah? So this session is actually, we had macam biasalah, when urbanists wants to do something, they always come with the highest aspiration, you know. So when we crafted this Malaysia SDG City session, actually we wanted it to be like a pitching session. So we discussed, you know, it was a brainstorm in Urbanist, and we said that why don't we open a pitching session and we let all the cities just come and submit proposals, and then we have all these great judges to give their views and opinion. And then, you know, because in KPKT, we're also trying to set up like some kind of a grant and fund, then we sort of, you know, get them, give them that opportunity. So when we open it up, maybe we were not very good in the clarity of our invitation. So we didn't really get good feedbacks, because everyone always treat a forum like a webinar or a seminar. And I've always been saying to my team, which is something that is difficult for us till today, Urbanist is not an event manager. We are not a conference organizer. We don't want to do that. I'm not a qualified conference organizer. Just now when it was coming up, there was a conference organizer. He thought I was a conference organizer. He was trying to sell me a product. And I said that sebenarnya saya bukan conference organizer. Anyway, because of that, we changed the format, and today what we're going to do is actually, it's a little bit of sharing of experiences. So we have a little bit of sharing from EU. We have Alice online. She's actually been very helpful. We met her before we went to Abu Dhabi. We had some connection with Alice. Then we met her physically in Abu Dhabi for Wolf 10. And ever since then, it's not only a relationship, she's become quite a good partner, you know, sharing with us the work of the EU, the indicators that they have developed, and together we went online recently for a side event during the high-level political forum. So it was quite good, you know. So, and of course, we also gonna have Dr. Neil, who's gonna be sharing us the urban cities, SDGs perspective from UN Habitat. And we also have Maizura from UCLG aspect, and we have Datuk Banda from Shah Alam, who's going to share with us his experience on Shah Alam going through this whole SDG process. So I think without further ado, I like to maybe we go local first, Datuk, okay? So maybe we invite Datuk Banda of Shah Alam dulu to do his presentation, and no pressure, Datuk. Just sharing. The pitching tak jadi, Datuk. So because that was the first intention, so I think I made a lot of mayors nervous when we said pitching, memang that was my early intention, tapi we'll keep it for next year lah. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Datuk Banda of Shah Alam to come to the podium to share Shah Alam's work. Tepuklah sikit, bagi tepuk. Bagi semangat sikit kat Datuk.
Thank you, Puan Noliza. Macam mana tak nervous ya? Saya bukan expert dalam bidang SDGs.
Tak apa.
Okay, thank you very much, Datuk Sri Alima, Datuk-Datuk, tuan-tuan sekalian. Pertama sekali saya ucap terima kasih kerana beri peluang untuk saya share ataupun berkongsi pengalaman dengan pihak tuan-tuan dan puan-puan berkenaan dengan bagaimana Bandar Shah Alam melaksanakan SDGs ini. Saya difahamkan because of forum ini ataupun forum ini dipancar ataupun diikuti oleh ramai rakan-rakan kita secara webinar ataupun virtual peringkat international. Jadi izinkan saya bercakap dalam bahasa Inggeris. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Distinguished moderator, speakers and panelists. Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon to all. Thank you for having me today. I'm Haris, the Mayor of Shah Alam City Council. To begin with, currently Selangor is the most developed state in Malaysia. It is at 93.3 urbanization stage, and it is the major contributor towards the national GDP at 22.7%. Now, I'd like to bring to your attention on Shah Alam, the capital city of Selangor. Being the state capital of Selangor, Shah Alam has to be planned, developed and managed with great expectation in mind. MBSA, as the caretaker of Shah Alam, has the vision in transforming Shah Alam into a quality, peaceful, conducive and re-owned city. And in the realization of vision, we have outlined the mission where we commit to enhance the delivery and administration system and ensuring an efficient, effective, competent, and dynamic service toward excellence. For the past decade, we have worked hard on turning Shah Alam into a city for all, and the records show it all. In 2019, the total population in Shah Alam was at 614,136 people. 5 years later, in 2020, we recorded at 12% population increase to make the 386,966 people. We believe in the influx of immigration back that was due to the opportunities and conducive living environment that Shah Alam has to offer. Top it all, we are also committed to the Sustainable Development Principle and aspiration since 1998 with our very own local Agenda 21 program, and continues to this day with the recent Sustainable Development Goal, SDG, and new Urban Agenda and UAA commitment. We started our sustainable development journey as early as in 1998 with the Agenda 21 and local Agenda 21 programs. The LA 21 programs have been quite a success story, and we have been recognized as one of the most advanced cities in LA21 implementation and achievement in this country. We are also indirectly have complied with several requirements in the SDG, Smart Selangor Vision, Smart Selangor Mampan, and also the Smart City Framework by the federal government. These are some of the achievements achieved by MBSA along the journey, and we are proud to announce that they're yet to come. As the first city in Malaysia to submit the VLR, we work together with Urbanist Malaysia, and they come out with 3+1 method on producing the report. The 3+1 method covered city profiling, city visioning, and action, which subsequently translated into the VLR report. The whole process involved our internal department and other related stakeholders, namely the residents, other government agencies, and NGOs. We are doing it in our own way. Our framework is exercised in a two-stage approach. The first stage comprised the Malaysian Rapid Integrated Assessment and key stakeholder engagement. Then, the second stage will be the prioritization of SDGs for Shah Alam. This will lead us to the prioritization on SDGs for Shah Alam city. By overlaying the action and perception index, we managed to identify which SDG need to be sustained and which require more actions. Our framework will accelerate our SDG city pathway. With the first phase on prioritization on 5 SDG, we shall embark on the second phase towards full-fledged realization of Malaysia SDG cities. We acknowledge the issues and challenge in undertaking this, which are being the first in Malaysia and no precedent to refer to. Second, COVID-19 has limited the reach of our activities and programs. Third, to ensure the residents fully understand and appreciate the holistic concept of SDGs. Fourth, lack of expertise within internal department on SDGs. Fifth, implementation continuity between federal, state, and local government. Last but not least is budget limitation. We are excited and very proud to represent Malaysia to the World Urban Forum 10 last February. At this prestigious international arena, Shah Alam City Council has launched the Shah Alam City SDGs report. Shah Alam SDGs Roadmap 2020 report has become a means of a healthy collaboration exercise among the device stakeholders and strategic partners under the auspicious guardian of the Selangor State Government. The strong belief and commitment demonstrated by all my colleagues here at Shah Alam City Council will help us toward success on implementing the SDGs sustainability toward 2030 and beyond. We are committed to the forerunners of Sustainable Development Goals for Malaysia cities. We aspire to submit the first Malaysia VLR to High-Level Political Forum 2020. With that, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Datuk, why don't you join me on stage, Datuk? Yeah, okay. Thank you, Datuk. Sebenarnya every time saya jumpa Datuk Bandar Shah Alam, dia akan cakap he's not an expert in SDG. Tapi I think over time, you have become an expert, Datuk. So yeah, I'm very happy, Datuk, that Shah Alam have come to this point. And it's been a journey, Alhamdulillah. Kita dah sama-sama lalui. And saya sangat bersyukurlah Shah Alam take that big step. So probably I like to invite the rest of the panelists up here. Not Datuk will become very nervous. So let me invite Maizura, Dr. Neil upstage also. Yeah, all right. And we must not forget we have Alice online. So keep Alice a company. welcome, Maizura. So, yeah, because I allowed Datuk to go first because the international sharing is more than the local sharing. So I hope the people in the room and online later on can send feedbacks as on what you think and your own experience also. So maybe I'd like to ask Dr. Neil to go next because I think UN Habitat also have done a lot of work in these areas, and I think the key issue here is localization. We know about SDG, and Malaysia pun masa 2015 when we adopted the SDG, we sort of, I mean, even as a professional then, I have not joined Urbanese yet in 2015. At that time memang we were looking, tercari-cari sebenarnya what is SDG, how to interpret this locally. So at that time even the targets were not very clear, and even when the targets came out, we were not sure. It looked very, very high level. So it was very difficult. Even in my own work as a professional town planner, I find it quite difficult to translate it. So maybe over years, you know, I think various UN organizations have actually progressed a lot. And we just had one session just now on VLR, and there was sharing by IGES as well as ASCAP and different models, different guidelines. So maybe from UN Habitat, I allow Dr. Neil to share. Yes, please. Yeah. Kita zaman COVID ni kita macam sober sikit kan, tepuklah sikit. Ya, okay.
Boleh buka ni ya?
Boleh. Dr. Neil pun cakap macam betul. Dalam webinar tak clap, bila jumpa sebetulnya lupa nak clap lah. Okay, yes, Dr. Neil, all yours.
Thank you so much, Puan Noliza, Executive Director, Datuk Sri Maimuna, colleagues. Thank you very much for this opportunity for UN Habitat to present on SDG cities. And I think exactly what Datuk Bandar have done in Shah Alam, we are very grateful for the support at the local level. Datuk sebenarnya very much appreciated. And I think that the Malaysian contingent at the World Urban Forum in Abu Dhabi recently, I think the last of the great conferences before COVID, yeah? And we really appreciated it, and I think Datuk Sri, with your permission, speaking as a Malaysian on stage, and not supposed to do that, but we're very thankful for the kuih-kuih yang hantar from Malaysian contingent during WUF. So thank you so much, and it's really good to be back here. And today, let me put my UN hat back on, just to elaborate on exactly what Datuk Bandar has said just now. And the basis for our SDG Cities flagship, because this is a flagship program based on our strategic plan 2020 to 2023, initiated by our executive director at the UN Habitat Assembly last year, in May last year. It is a very practical document, not only the strategic plan but the SDG Cities itself, because our Executive Director, as you all know, is a former mayor in Penang, and I've worked with her, the privilege of working with her for the past 10 years. But of course, that time I was from Khazanah, and she kept accusing us of taking away her money. But we had this amazing partnership, and I know that one of the key things that Datuk Sri said to us at the UN Habitat is the implementation, the impact on the ground. The delivery of services to the ground, because if the SDG cities is just academic exercise in a sense, dapat data, tengok all the laporan and put them together, and then it looks very nice as a document, you've ticked all the boxes. I think that will not help move the needle towards sustainability. And I think with COVID-19, we can understand the depth of the challenge that we are facing. Suddenly, no one would have thought. Even when we were in Abu Dhabi, no one would have thought that the entire global economy would have ground to a halt. owing to a virus which you can't even see, which is microscopic. But as Datuk Sri had mentioned earlier in many of her webinars, I think we have pushed nature to such an extent that now, in a sense, it's fighting back. And I think that the key here is, do we have the tool to be able to monitor and build back better? So we are here presenting to you our SDG Cities flagship as one possibility. And not from a theoretical perspective alone, or a normative or guidance alone, but from a very practical dimension. Next slide, please. I don't know whether I'm supposed to... okay. As you all know, ladies and gentlemen, the world is urbanizing at a very rapid pace. Malaysia, of course, is at the forefront of this urban process. And you will also realize that, as Puan Noliza said earlier in the afternoon session, that cities actually, if you capture data and actions at the city level or at local government level, you are taking care of about 80% of the SDGs. And so for us, the battle for sustainability will be won or lost in cities. And it is not to say that we ignore the rural areas, not at all, because the cities actually link to their hinterland. And as the UN Agency for Human Settlements, what we're trying to do is to look at the entire human settlement as a single continuum. So the urban areas and the rural areas are very much interlinked with each other. And we felt that it was important, as the Honourable Mayor has demonstrated, to look at how SDGs can be a foil, can be a tool to help local governments ensure effective urban policies. I think Malaysia is very, very fortunate, and Datuk Sri, the opportunity for us to travel, well, before this, now virtual travel, but in the last 18 months that I was with UN Habitat, we were able to go to Kabul, to very difficult places. And the achievement of Malaysia, ini bukan nak tepuk dada Malaysian, orang Malaysia ni, tapi this is just to explain that the achievement based on urbanization in Malaysia is something not to be just overlooked. I think we've done quite well, but there's a lot more to do. So essentially with the new urban agenda, you have a tool to help you look at inclusive governance, to look at local revenue. And I think with COVID-19, as our ED has said to me when the lockdown happened, when we were working from home in Nairobi, she said, what is going to happen to all these local governments? How are we going to provide them with guidance, particularly for local revenue? Because Dato', I think you will know that the moment we lock down, all the local revenue also goes down. So I think immediately we reached out to UCLG. Thank you so much. We had a series of seminars, and we managed to reach out to more than 1,000 cities, directly with guidance and the various SG reports that we contributed to. So if we look at this particular slide, if we can cover these 5 key areas, urban planning, infrastructure, investment, I think that's also another key to unlocking the SDGs. So again, like I said to you, this is not a presentation to sell the SDGs, but this is a presentation about how you can use the SDGs to boost local revenue collection, and also to bring in the right kind of investment. So this is our theory of change. We believe, and I think the last couple of days in Malaysian Urban Forum, we have heard about the importance of data. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dato', but when we had lockdown, I think even Barcelona called us, remember, ED, and said, I cannot function, ED. You know why? All my files are not digitized. I cannot lulus all the development plan, because I can't leave my house. So I think that I know sometimes you will laugh because you say, oh, kenapa tak buat macam ni? But those are the fundamental problems. And I think it's very important that now that we have a chance to sit back and we are going to look at whatever money we have, how are we going to invest, Dato, it's important to look at data. Data is one of the things that we have been exhorting local governments to collect, because you need that data to be able to allocate monies and resources into the right places. And I'm very happy to say that in Selangor, for example, I know of a program where which, you know, as YB Fahmi was saying this morning, a lot of people started giving. Saya nak bantu orang because they are in the PPR and all that. And you know what happened? This lady got 3 different donors donating the same thing. Yeah. However, with this new app that has been developed in Selangor, yeah, they are able to identify exactly what each of these families need. And you realize that this lady actually needs insulin, not more rice. Yeah. So I think that this whole idea of data evidence-based decision making is very important. And this becomes the basis for the strategic plan. I don't have to talk about the planning because I got lots of planners in this room, so I also tak berani. Okay. And for us, I think the 2 extra steps is, as Datuk Sri has mentioned from her days as a mayor, project development and project financing. Because as long as there's don't have these 2 components in place, all the things that you have planned out, it remains a plan, remains static. And for us, it's important to make sure that there's a encompassing capacity building at the local government level. So as you know, Dato', we have been working with UN ESCAP to also even give special training for first-time mayors, so that they can understand how to deal with this kind of issues. This is our theory of change. As you remember, we said that there are key components. There's environmental, economic, and social components. And I think Puan Noliza, when you see this, you can see exactly the same as what you have done. So those of you receiving advice from Urbanist Malaysia, I would like to say thank you to Urbanist. I think we are in the same wavelength. Yeah. So the basis is the SDGs. Yeah. And I'm not going to say which city this is, but essentially we have done this work which is called the City Prosperity Initiative, where we look at all the through surveys, through data collection. Some cities are doing very well in the social dimension. Yeah, so this is a case of one city. I'm not going to mention which city. Some are doing very well in the economic dimension, not so well in the environmental dimension, which is always a great challenge. Yeah. And then this is the core sustainability elements. And then we break them down to actions that need to be done in these particular fields. Yeah? And I know Edie will know that we have done this study at the level of more than 500 cities now worldwide to be able to understand what exactly or where exactly resources need to be allocated to move the needle. Yeah? Now this has one thing which is very good, and the ED has stressed this at the very highest level, that we are not asking cities to go onto a kind of evolutionary escalator. Bukan semua city akan jadi macam Helsinki. That is not the objective, because Shah Alam is unique in its own context. In Selangor, as a capital city of Selangor, as a planned city, it has got all its own complexity, yeah, and also advantages. So what we are trying to say is that this will help you become more SDG compliant in your own terms. Yeah, bukan nak kata if you do this, tiba-tiba 10 years from now you become Helsinki. No, Helsinki is also very good in its own terms, but so this is not about getting into a kind of evolutionary ladder. Yeah. So again, these are all the various cycles. I will not get into the technical aspects, but I will be happy to have a bilateral discussion with any one of you. But essentially, we first look at the baselining, yeah, to collect the data, etc. We are happy to say that we are doing this in Penang, Johor, and through, I think, Urbanist Malaysia, when we have the collaboration, our MOU, then we can definitely also adopt the approaches that you have been testing out. Yeah. And then we will look at all the key interventions that has to be made to be able to move the needle. Yeah, and this is very important. I think in Malaysia there is no shortage of investors lah. Tapi kadang-kadang it depends on what is your how do you perceive progress and development. Some people say the more tall buildings, the more you feel like you're progressing. I think that one is when I was growing up. You know, I'm very old now. But I think the younger generation will perceive development and progress in totally different ways. They will want to see sustainability. They have seen, because of COVID, the Klang River turning clean. So I don't think they want to go back to when it's dirty, right? And so I think what we're trying to say here is that this SDG Cities flagship program that we have can also help cities identify what kind of investor is good for you. And as you know, this leads to what if I may, Edie, share with them the aspiration. As you know, we have, in UNESCO, we have World Heritage Sites, which is determined by a World Heritage Committee. In the case of SDG Cities, as the main UN agency for SDGs, our executive director has in mind to create a World SDG Committee to determine which cities can qualify for this status. And this gives a new impetus to the new kind of investments that you need in that particular area. So not because we are both from Penang, but we are testing ground in Penang, but we will be very happy to also consider Shah Alam and other cities that Urbanist Malaysia is going to recommend to us. But Dato', what's very good about this is that then we also have something called the City Investment Facility, which we inaugurated at Wolf 10 in Abu Dhabi, to be able to then match the kind of investors with the kind of sustainable projects that they want. Because if you just leave it to the market, I think you may not be able to move the needle as efficiently. Yeah. So this is to complete the cycle. Yeah, and I'll be very happy to take any questions. Yeah. So this is the methodology. Like I said, we look at data. We look at the action plan. Yeah, because our ED is a former mayor, so everything must have action plan, correct? Yeah. And then even down to the tasks involved, and then into the investment. So basically, it helps you, if you are a city, to bring some of your projects, Dato', to the financial market for financing. Yeah. So this is a delivery model that we would like to look at the outline and of resources. We look at the urban labs that we can create. Regional support funds. We even try to co-locate the funds that may be suitable for a particular place. We have a global knowledge hub to assist. And I think the ED has just presented to the Prime Minister our catalogue of services that UN Habitat provides. Of course, we develop partnerships. And for whom is this flagship program for? For cities, of course, yeah, and local governments. We definitely also want to target investors, and at the city investment platform that we initiated in Abu Dhabi, we had a very good collaboration with funders, totaling $1 trillion. And of course, we would like to ensure that we do this sustainably, through global development. So that's my presentation. I'll be happy to answer questions and take on discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Neil. Yeah, I think well, it's a great relief to see that it's we are quite aligned to what the SDG cities, and even though we've not had much discussion, but I think it's good to know that we are in line. Actually, for me, it has always been about how to put the pieces together, because there's no real literature. You can open that. There's so many reports on SDG. There's so many toolkits that's been written, but when you talk about localization, that has always been the difficult part. So, Maizura, you want to comment on that, because you're working with some, especially you've been a lot of working with Kuala Lumpur. How do you see, how do you find, especially in trying to get them to be involved in localizing, So what's your comment, and maybe share a little bit of what UCLG Aspect does in these areas, yeah.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you very much for inviting us to contribute to this event. For localization, as you say, it's it will it will it will define whether we are going to be successful or not. Localization, and also in the urban setting, that is where the fight is. If we fail to localize SDG in the urban setting, then we wouldn't be able to achieve what we want to do with SDG. So maybe a little bit of explanation of what UCLG ASPAC. UCLG ASPAC represent local governments from around Asia Pacific. What we do is we advocate for the voices of local government to the national level and also to the global level. So a lot of work, a lot of funding, a lot of allocation right now is going towards national government, which is then later trickle down to the local government. So what we would like to push forward is how to bring the priorities, the aspirations of the local government directly to where we can access the funding, the capacity building, the resources, and how can we do this together with the national agencies as well. So UCLG ASPAC, we represent about 7,000 cities from around Asia Pacific, either directly or through local government associations. So right now we have two big multi-year programs in Indonesia and in Pakistan. In Indonesia, we do a lot of actual localizing, as well as to support them, local government in to support the local government in localizing the SDG. So you have the action plans, you have the identification of where is your priorities, and partnership and funding, financing, and such and such. In Pakistan, what we do is a lot of work that we do goes towards mainstreaming of SDG at the local level. So if you see what the difference between these three countries, also in Malaysia we work with DBKL. We just started working with DBKL, and right now it's focusing around education, awareness, building understanding of what is SDG and how it works for us. In Indonesia, for example, there is specific legislation that there's a presidential decree, if I'm not mistaken, that define what are the responsibilities of national government, of provincial government, of local government, all different levels, because they have slightly more levels than us, because we have only national, state, and also local government. So in Pakistan, there is no, it's like Malaysia, there is no specific legislation, but they have huge, big programs right now undergoing in terms of mainstreaming. So I think when you have the national level definition, defining what are the boundaries, what are the responsibilities, I think it's easier for local government to respond to this call for SDG localization, because it's clear-cut what are expected of us. I mean, it's the nature of the Malaysian system, as we are a lot more top-down. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Maizura. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think, I mean, Indonesia having a presidential decree, that's amazing for a country so huge, so big, and so many local authorities. I think, and I didn't even know that, you know, so that's incredible for them to do that. Even Malaysia, I mean, I was doing low carbon for many years. You can't even get that to be in a policy document. Not for a decree tu lagi jauh lah. But even to get it in as a policy tu pun, only now we're talking about a national blueprint for low carbon after more than 12 years of the agenda. Yeah, so it's amazing that Indonesia. That's why I find that a lot of countries, they leapfrog And that's why they achieve faster. I mean, look at Korea and or China. From 3G China, they went straight to 5G, you know. We do the step by step, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. So like everything else lah, we are so good to progress, but people leapfrog. And that's why they do things like, they learn from other people's mistake and then they don't do it again. So maybe let's listen to Alice, you know. And the work that she's do is even, when I first, when we met in Abu Dhabi, was amazing to see that, you know, I mean, EU, as you know, the European region, they're so diverse. And what the work that Alice does is that they managed to sort of form some form of targets that is common to be used throughout the EUs, you know, and probably she can share the work that she's done and, you know, the challenges that she faced, you know. And yeah, Alice, maybe I pass it to you now.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, very well, thank you.
Oh, great. That's a miracle.
What
Thank
time
you
is it
very
there
much.
now? Can I know
And
what-
thank you very much for the invitation to participate today Malaysia Urban Forum. I'm really honored to be to have been invited to participate to this panel, and I really send my greetings to all the panelists there. Buongiorno, I'm Italian. I work for the European Commission. In particular, I work for the Joint Research Center. So what I will bring to this discussion is a perspective coming from Europe. Having working as a researcher, looking at the movement of the SDG cities and how cities are producing SDG voluntary local reviews. Before starting to explain my work, maybe I will also explain what the Joint Research Center does. So as Norlisa was saying, I work for the European Commission, and the EU, the European Union, is a union of 27 countries, European countries, and we have to deal with many differences in terms of culture and languages and local situations. So when we talk about SDG in Europe, you might be surprised, but also for us, SDG might really differ on how we interpret what is the goal for us. So what we have been looking at in the last year is that many member states have actually started to implement the SDGs, but with different strategies, because the states are different. There are some federal states, some others that are different multi-level governance approaches. What we have been working on at the JRC is to try to study how cities have been using the VLRs, the voluntary local reviews, as tool to implement the SDG at local level. We know that in 2018, New York has published the first VLR, but actually one subnational government in Europe has published a VLR 1 year before, in 2007, and that was the Basque Country. It is a regional government in Spain. What we have been looking at, and some speakers before me also explained this, is that there was in the past year a lack of guidance and also a lack of comparability and access to data and indicators. And the work that UCLG, UN Habitat, and other institutions has been really focused on providing guidelines on how to implement the SDG and localize the SDGs. What we have been also find out, and that when you talk about specific local indicators, this part was really very technical. And so that's why we as researcher, I work for the Territorial Development Unit, we produce urban indicators, we produce regional indicators. So we thought that our contribution could really be on that side. At the last World Urban Forum, we launched the first edition of the European Handbook for SDG Voluntary Review that really focused on the indicator part, the monitoring part. The structure of the handbook is very simple. Basically, we look at what were the existing indicators that were available for European cities to start to set up a local monitoring system that fits with two main characteristics. The first one was that the indicator should really tackle the local issue. So should not be directly or necessarily linked to the official SDG framework of the UN that is designed for member states, for countries. The second issue that we really try to focus on is that it has to be referred to what the goal means in Europe. Because even if the goals are globally and as tackle both developing and developed countries, the same goal can be explored and implemented in a different way in different contexts. So we keep these two elements in mind. We produce the handbook. In the handbook, the cities can actually look and find reference to go and fish indicators and data on existing European data sets. And what we also included in this work was both work on official statistics, administrative data, but also experimental data. And this is another exciting part for us, because we know that the construction of the VLR and the process of the VLR is a collaborative effort. So it's not only about the city administration, it's not only about looking at programs and action and indicators that the city and the local governments has put in place to achieve the SDGs, but also to involve stakeholders, to involve the community, and in consequences also to involve data producers that exist at local level. There could be university research centers, but also managing authorities of public services. It can be NGOs, it can be communities that can provide knowledge and information that can be used to monitor the implementation of the SDGs. I would like to conclude my short contribution with three reflections. The first one is that we at the European Commission are really committed to the SDGs, and we are continuing to work with cities, but also with city partners and member countries in other regions of the world. And we at the JRC, we will continue to work on this part, on this tool of the VLRs to really support with scientific and knowledge this elaboration of cities. We have many cities that have come to us asking for technical and scientific support, because sometimes they don't have in-house in the local governments the statistical capacity to start this process. So this is where we can help. The second element is that new techniques and new data are continuously produced. Every 6 months there are new data sets and new techniques that can be used to collect and disseminate local data. But another part of this story is that we have to be very wise in the way we analyze the figures and the way in which numbers tell us a story. With the same number, you can tell a very different story. So it's very important to analyze the figures in the proper way, and also to try to go beyond the figures and try to understand how the inequalities within the city. So sometimes even the city average of a value cannot tell the whole story of how citizens live in the city. So a call for having disaggregated data that includes also, for example, neighborhood averages or disaggregation by gender, race, other factors. The last element is that this kind of exchange and this kind of tools enable cities to speak to each other with the same language. And this, I think, is one of the main achievements of the SDG up to now. It creates a global movement that speaks the same language and enables cities in Europe to talk with Malaysian city, for example. We really look from Euro at the example of Malaysia as a reference. We are very looking forward to see the Malaysian SDG city movement grow and achieving results, to compare, but also to learn from each other. And one very exciting thing is that the next World Urban Forum will be in Katowice in Poland, so in Europe, and we really hope that in the next future we will host you and learning from each other and seeing when we can improve and share knowledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alice. What time is it there? May I know?
It's morning. It's
Okay.
11:40, so
Right.
it's not bad.
Okay.
Last time I wake you up for an event at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
So
I
this
had
time
to
I
walk
was
around my
lucky.
house, you know, so that I don't look so blur at 2 a.m. I'm glad we didn't wake you up. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's very challenging. You know, you have to do it on 27 different countries. You see, LG Aspect has the whole Asia Pacific to actually, you know, coordinate and try to find one common model, and UN Habitat have the whole world with 90 over officers to help you, you know, maybe explore, accelerate it in a different manner. And here in Malaysia, yeah, our task is to try to bring all 154 local governments to actually do it. So we are very, very slow actually. In my ministry, we only have 5 this year reported. We actually targeted, before COVID, we targeted to add like 10 to 12 cities in 2020. So when my minister asked me during the certificate yesterday, I said 5. She said that was last year's number. Yeah, unfortunately we did not manage because we couldn't. We've been talking online, but it's very difficult, you know, to convince someone to do something new when you speak to someone online. So I think our challenges are similar in the sense that we've got the stakeholders are varied, but like what Alice was saying just now, it doesn't need to be the same. And our discussion with New York was also similar. When we first started it, we asked them, do you have a template? And then she said that no, there's no such thing as a template. This means when they started, they didn't have a template. They just went based on the issue that they have on the ground, and that's how they prioritize their SDGs, and they're doing like 5 a year. But what they told us is that they will also revisit whatever they have committed to. So it's always like another 5 next year, plus a revisit of maybe 1 or 2 of what they've committed earlier. So I think that was the approach that they are doing. But I truly believe that once we do this sharing, it's a lot easier. We sort of confirm our own conviction, that okay, this is the correct way to do it. And then like for us in Urbanese, we are very lucky to have Shah Alam actually, because they were so willing to help us, I don't want to say that they are pilot. Nobody likes to be pilot, So, but they believe in us. They followed through, and we're really happy with Shah Alam's progress. So before, because this is supposed to be, I have 2 discussants there, Datuk, the ED and my board of director, Datuk Dolbani. They've been taking notes from just now. So, and it's really late in the evening. So I like to give the microphones to them after listening to all, the varied approaches, views, and your comments, ED, and also Datuk Dolbani. One of you can go first. Yeah, maybe ED first, yeah. Boleh Datuk mana? Tapi kalau Datuk, dia orang nak tengok Datuk, boleh Datuk boleh face ke sana. Okay, boleh.
Okay, thank you very much, Puan Liza, and thank you very much, panelists and Alice online. Thank you very much, and also for the followers of this Malaysian Urban Forum for the past 2 days, yesterday and today. I would like to congratulate Shah Alam. for having this belief and the leadership. I think leadership is very important, and what you believe in what you are doing is good for the people that you serve, for the subject that you serve. And then, and again, I would like to sum up. Just I used to say this. I think those who used to hear my, not to say my speech, my remark, I used to say, think local, act global, learn global, apply local. When I went to UN Habitat, I got to learn global. Okay. Learn global, apply local. Yes. Why I said think local? People used to say act global and think global, act local. I think you cannot think global if you don't know your local situation. That's why I've seen that all the just now it start with the city profiling. Understand your cities. What actually your city needs. What is the problem? What is the issues? What is the challenges? What is the opportunities? And during this COVID-19, I think it's really wake-up call for us to see that what is actually we have been doing all this while. So that's why I start with think local, meaning that know your cities, get your baseline information. We're talking about data just now. Look at your social data, economic data, physical data, environmental data, and also psychological data. We're talking about mental health and all that. And look at the governance of your cities. This is like looking into I used to say, vertical integration and the horizontal integration, meaning that I think in the Malaysian context, when Ponaliza was, I think, presenting just now, we look at the national level, the state level, the local level, and the horizontal is the private sector, the community, civil society, NGOs, and all that. Without having that, we also had the discussion just now with Tan Sri Jamila, without integrated, holistic approach, I think we will just be a dreamer. You cannot implement. Maybe you can be a very good strategic plan, very good plan, but I think it's only collect dust in the cupboard. I used to say that. So that is very important to know your city. It's very, very important to us to know what do you need. In order to know your city, you cannot plan in your office in the maybe 15th floor, 16th floor. Because I used that because 15th floor I was a mayor in Seberang Perai. I mean, yang di Petua di Seberang Perai, and the 15th floor is in Penang, and now I'm only in the first floor in UN Habitat, ground floor and first floor. You cannot plan. You have to go to the ground. You have to talk to the people. You have to know what they need. This is very, very important. And then you act global. You come here. This is global forum. You come to UN Habitat. UN Habitat, what can you help me? And I was also as like you all when I was in Malaysia as a YDP and also as planner. I keep on asking, where can I get, how to understand this new urban agenda? And I remember on the first meeting of the Secretary General meeting with all the head of the what they call it, the UN entities, meaning that kalau kat sini masyarakat ketua jabatan. And Secretary General asked me, Maimunah, what do you think about UN? Then I said that very abstract. I think you do it in the new urban agenda. It's very difficult to understand and also to translate. That is the duty of UN Habitat. When I became now I'm the ED of UN Habitat, I said that I have to walk the talk. I have to dissect the new urban agenda and to translate it into a normal language, normal English, because and then so that we can understand. So in this case is that you come to the global to UN Habitat or to other UN agencies, or you go through webinar and look for knowledge, look for the system, look for the tools, so that you know. And one of the examples today we share from Alice, from CLG, from Shah Alam. And then once you know, and also you heard from Dr. Neil from UN Habitat, I always drill him. I said, action, action, action. I don't, strategic plan of UN Habitat, I don't want to have more than 50 pages. Plain language, not more than 50 pages. My officers came to me, 49 pages. Yeah. But I said, this is all words. It's very boring. But Edie, you want only 50 pages. Okay, we photograph more easier to read. Okay, maybe I can give you less than 80 pages. So they put it 74 pages. You can see our strategic plan, 74 pages. Easy to read and very down to earth, you know, in terms of the words. Then once you know, you act global, you get knowledge, you learn. Don't just sit here and after finish this webinar or this conference, Malaysian Urban Forum, you go out from the room, then, oh, so many things in my mind, so many things have to do. Then you don't learn. You have to learn. You have to, every session, you have your own notebook. What did you learn from that session? What is the value added of the Malaysian Urban Forum today? And this session, maybe today, what is the value added that any extra knowledge that I learned from the Malaysian SDG cities that I set for 1 hour? Because 1 hour is very, very big, you know, very big in terms of the values. What extra knowledge? Learn. You learn. And then, after you learn, don't just keep quiet. Action. Apply local. Locally, either you apply in Shah Alam, in Penang, or you apply in Johor, in Malacca, or even in UCLG, in Indonesia, in Philippines, or even in Alice, maybe in Europe. Yeah, Alice? So you apply. So you apply, don't just stop there. You have to monitor. Then you have to look into the evaluation in the circle. I think this is, as a planner, we know that plan, do, act, check, something like that. Check, act, or something like that, yeah? So, but this is a thing that is the most important thing. But to do all this, think local, act global, learn global, apply local, we did leadership. And you are all the leaders. You don't think that Puan Noliza dulu lah buat. I mean, Puan Noliza is the CEO of Urbanis, let her do. But all of us are leaders. And it starts with us. I think I agree with Tan Sri Jambilah. Everything starts with us. Don't wait for others to start. So we have to lead. So that is my observation, and I would like to say thank you for giving me this moment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Edie. Yeah, as usual, Datuk Sri Maimuna, I've known her for so long, but she always amazed me with new things. So today she add 2 more. Okay, thank you, Datuk. Datuk Dolbani, your thoughts, your views, observations.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya cuba mulakan daripada historical bit. Yeah. 20 years ago, in 2000, when I get back from my PhD, I was asked by my former director to start with Murninet. Remember Murninet? Yeah. Murninet is something like this. Yeah, it's and I won't say it's extended from Murninet, but the history is repeating. Yeah, we have, we start to create indicators 20 years ago, how to actually assess your cities, and every city was competing one another until probably it lasts for 15 years, yeah, before SDG took over. So this is the history, and now I think we managed to see again what's happening 20 years ago. But SDG, you need commitment. That's why I'm wondering, Shah Alam, congratulations, because you one among the 5 become, yeah, you wouldn't like to be called pioneer, one of the first 5, yeah, having your SDG report to be reported in the world arena, inshallah. I think has been done in Dubai this year as well. So I think just to inspire us, yeah, as board directors, I think Norida has done a very good job. I think, in fact, every time now and then, she will tell me what's happening Urbanist is going everywhere, is trying to help many cities. I think we have more than 140 cities to be looked after. Probably after COVID, I don't know when, we are going more vigorous effort in helping various cities to have their report done. Yeah, and as Ali said, he also want to share with Malaysians how we did here. And I think it's a bit challenging here because we deal with people. SDG is dealing with people, yeah? And because there's no Q&A, I'm just wondering how actually Shah Alam, of course Shah Alam is planned city, most affluent people over there. I think it's very easy to, I won't say very easy to have your report done, SDG, but I think there are also some factors, the level of educations and so on. That's why as the Shahada become #1 here, presenting their report. Yeah. So I wish this city in Malaysia, 140, more than 140, will have their own report. Probably, yeah, less than 10 years, probably. Yeah. So probably the only easiest way is actually urbanists can't do everything. Probably the big brother can help also. Shah Alam can help Kelang probably. Shah Alam can help Hulu Selangor, something like that, you know. So now you become big brother in Selangor. I think you can always helping others to have your own report. And also other state as well, and become faster. It's why you're having urbanists to help you. Urbanists could be a coach here. They are more on the referrals. Probably they can give training, can give bimbingan and so on. Yeah? But probably Shah Alam is a big brother in the state and also other cities as well. You can always help us by helping out. Yeah. So with that, I think I have nothing much because we are almost 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock sharp, and I wish our effort, our journey to have our SDGs for every city is going to be materialized soon. With that, thank you very much. I think you have enjoyed the forum today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dato'. Yeah, I just like to open up maybe from the floor, any views, any comments, you know. Tadi YB Fahmi, you know, memang yeah, he hit one note lah, you know, which it made me think on how to do it. Dia kata, you know, maknanya when we talk about localization, it should be the makcik, the pakcik at the pasar faham apa itu SDG kan. So yeah, you know, I haven't got because he baru balik pasar. So I'm thinking also, okay, yeah, that's satu perkara lah Datuk that we need to try kan. Inshallah we have started talking. Masa COVID kita buat workshop online, ED workshop online. I was amazed the wakil-wakil penduduk ni, they log in juga. We managed to do it jugalah dengan Anne punya and her team dengan Puan Aniza, you know, was quite amazing juga. So tapi kalau nak sampai ke pasar tu, it made me think juga tadi macam mana YB Fahmi cakap ni. But he is correct, because nak sustainable agenda ni, the community need to faham. Then we do less, they do more, you know, and they do it without asking us why they should be doing it. And so I thought that was really direct to the point lah. Any views, Puan Muaimuna from IRDA? They also are doing something with their 5 PBTs. Yeah, Puan.
Okay, I think thank you for having this session today. So I just want to ask, because always when we talk about SDG, it's always about cities. Yeah. So I think I want to know what are actually the role of state and regional authorities like us, because at the moment we are selling the idea of SDGs to our 5 local authorities, and we are actually trying to make them understand, and we have started with collecting data. So I think maybe UN Habitat can start looking at state and regional to actually drive this SDG. Secondly, from my understanding in SDGs, there are actually two key scopes. One is actually the reporting, one is actually identifying the action plans. So for Malaysia, actually reporting is actually by DOSM through Ministry of Economy, and the action plans, I guess, via KPK3 through Urbanis. So how does these two ministry actually work? Because I see there is actually a gap in between. So maybe we can actually look at this for Malaysia.
Okay. So maybe Dr. Neil, you want to share some light on the regional and, you know, yeah.
Thank you, Puan Maimuna, and it's very good to see you in the audience. And as I told you, UN Habitat is very action-oriented, and we will be in Johor very soon. In fact, early November, ED. I think my ED also doesn't know yet. But yeah, definitely there is a major role for the in the case of Malaysia with the planning structure where you have national, state, in this case regional, between the national level and the state level. So I think we are very fortunate. We have IRDA. You also have your global urban observatory, and you have your data sets for the entire Iskandar region. So definitely there will be that integration of information. I think what is important here is to understand where the VLRs stay and vis-a-vis the national data. So you're quite right. At the national level, there's the national voluntary reviews, which I think if you look at what Urbanis had presented earlier, in the case of Malaysia, it's very well and seamlessly organized. So I don't think there's any problem with incorporating regional level data. Now, then of course at the UN level, as you all know, UN DESA is the main partner for collecting at the national level, and I think we are now we have a partnership with them so that UN Habitat is the main local agency, UN agency that looks at the VLRs. So that's where we are moving towards, so that we on our end at the global level are integrated as well. So and of course the second question, the answer is very easy. You have Urbanis Malaysia to integrate all the data at the national level and the local level. Thank you.
Yeah, but before I answer on the Malaysian, any experience, Maizura, from your side on regional VLRs in the regions that you are operating?
Well, not so much that, but just to caution that when we're doing the VLR, we should see how it fits into VNR, number one, because the process cannot be separated. The process should be contributing to each other. Number two, it cannot be just a showcasing exercise. We cannot produce another report that showcase what we are good at. We should look at also, we should be honest with ourselves and identify where it doesn't work so well. Yeah. Because this information, this data and information that we get from identifying where we are not good, this is where we can clarify the focus for development for each of the areas, whether it is regional or local or national. Mostly that. And also VLR, VNR integrated, it should contribute to decision making, evidence-based decision making. We need to go through that. If your VNR or VLR is just a showcasing exercise, then we have missed the opportunity. It's a great opportunity for us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alice, anything on your side, on the European side, on the regional VLR?
I think the last panelist say the most important element for me is the evidence-based decision. This exercise, the collection of data, the monitoring, which has to be and should be linked to the national level and the subnational level, the regional or province, depending on the state, it's key, but should really guide the decision. We should take local decision, national decision, coordinate among each other based on evidences. And this is why indicators and VLR and processes and discussion should lead to better informed decisions. These processes are not to showcase what we are good at, but to identify gaps. That's why before I was mentioning the need to have also disaggregated data, because we have to highlight the ones who are left behind, the places, even within our cities, who are left behind, the ones that are more in need, and the area where the local governments or the local actors should work better. I have few experiences up to now of subnational governments that are not cities that produce VLR, some in Spain, some other in Belgium, but this is not still emerging very fast as for cities. But there are some countries in the world who are starting to take into account in the VNRs the local aspect. One case is Finland. Finland is not a very big country, but they have 3 main cities who produce VLRs, and in their last VNRs they included their contribution. And this report has been published and report at the latest HLPF. So there are cases. I think that the coordination among cities maybe can help to advocate to member states to include them in the process of the national reporting. But this is very important to look beyond the figures and to look at what figures tells you. So I really welcome the comment of my the last presenters.
Yeah, thank you, Alice. Yeah, I think for Malaysia, why actually we have a lot of discussion with EPU and DOSM. EPU, I mean, hands are quite tight actually when it comes to localization, because the situation now is that we want to localize. So when we had the discussion with them, and it was a very honest discussion. I think we've been talking to them almost 4 or 5 times, and so that's why, in a way, they actually support this process that we are doing. And it's not like we skip state. The reason why we like very bottom-up kind of an approach is because we wanted to focus on getting the local itself to collect data, collect information, to understand the situation on the ground. If we start with the region or we start with the state, it gets a distortion. Even we saw what was happening at the national VNR. We looked at the indicators that DOSM had actually developed. I can tell you we cannot collect the data. And that is why when we went on an exercise to have a local indicator, they were very supportive. And I think during the workshops that we've been conducting, I think DOSM had, they welcome if we can collect even more and more local data. So they have no issue with that. Because I think, but whether or not regions or state wants to do a VLR, I think it's most welcome for me, but how the state wants to collect the information, like now, we are having a situation in Selangor, we understand, where the Selangor Plan Malaysia is trying to coordinate VLR among the local authorities. We are not sure on the process on how they want, what kind of data they are collecting. For example, let's take the reports that we get now. Very low poverty, but we say there are people hungry. How can people be hungry if there's not poor? That's 2 different data that doesn't match at all, And if we know people are hungry, do we know where? We don't know, and that's why the situation this morning we had on urban poverty with lack of information, lack of data, some getting 3 times support and social help, some not getting at all, I mean, the stories that we heard this morning in urban poverty, I was really, really taken aback, and I didn't know. It was very emotional for me to listen to the people that came on this morning to share these issues. And These are the workers that are working on the ground. The stories they tell in Kedah, the houses in Sentul, and we can't even capture those data sometimes in a local plan. We can't. So I think going down to the ground is actually, it's going to be a process. Even for Shah Alam, we gave options, even in the indicators that we have developed, we are saying or, So either or, as long as you collect some form of indication as to understand the issue, because we don't want it to go missing. So I'm okay if state is to do it, but I'm not sure what their process will be. But for us, what we agreed with the EPU is that whatever that we will definitely be sharing it upwards, and that's why we work very closely with DOSM actually. And that's why kalau tengok, even the e-census is very detailed. It's really, really detailed, even walking distance lah apa. So they are also trying to help many segments because they are the official data collector even for SDGs. So we are hopeful from the e-census. But from the work that we do in Albanese, we have not really touched actually lah, to be frank, on state level. Because one is also because we don't want to be caught in the policy part. We want to make sure that this is a really bottom-up kind of approach. We don't want to be distracted by this one tak boleh, yang tu tak boleh kind of a situation. We just want to try to have a real understanding on what is the issue. Like Maizura is saying lah, I mean, not showcasing lah, real issue. That's why kita pun cakap kat Shah Alam and all state, just be honest. This is the issue. Kalau boleh ini aja isu dia, inilah. Kalau this is all that you can do it. So not forcing nothing. And that's what we've been doing the last 1 year, going to the ground. That's what we've been doing a lot. So I think, it's a journey for us also here in Malaysia. So thank you, Mona. But one day we should listen also to what, I know UNDP have approached us on the 5 cities that they are working on. They have issues on the data, but they are working with you towards that collection. But we told them that we are not working on that indicator, because that indicator is really a national indicator. And for us, the national indicator cannot be done locally. So I'm not sure how the approach will be for Iskandar, but something that can be discussed. So any other views from the floor? Do we have any views online, Dr. Rizal? Okay, right. Okay. Anyone, or is it semua dah penat? But anyway, I think we've had a very good discussion. I think I always tell people we only got 10 years, and at the rate that we are going, even KT pun cakap ni takkan habisnya 20-30. So dia kata cepatkan. So not really sure how to really cepatkan, because to do it is also a process. And that's where I think Datuk Dolbani's suggestion, I might take it up, mentoring system, so we have Shah Alam being mentor. Maybe that's a good way of helping us to fasten the process, maybe through our partners here, UN Habitat, UCLG, and then we've got UNDP, IRDA, maybe that's one way of us fastening. But what I see now, personally, if you ask me, we've been working very much on our own. And then we are struggling at Albanese actually to ask for help, because we are very small. But we still want to do this, and we want to do it on time also. So I think, any last words from the panelists? Datuk, not a question, Datuk, last words. Last word, Datuk dah observe what we've said. Inspire lagi tak, Datuk?
Okay, kita sebenarnya di Shah Alam berasa bertuah kerana antara yang telah dipilih untuk jadi pioneer dalam projek VLR ini. Dan kita akan bagi support yang yang 100% support, maybe 200% kepada pihak-pihak PBT yang lain. So far pun memang kita ada kerjasama yang baik dengan semua PBT di Malaysia. Not even kata untuk VLR ataupun SDGs ni, tapi dalam bidang semua. Pada hari ini pun kita share dengan Badan Putrajaya, berkaitan dengan KM. So tadi banyak benda-benda yang kita boleh share among our PBT di Malaysia. So we are open dan kita rasa bertuah kerana benda ni ataupun perkara ini dapat bersama-sama dengan Urbanist, UN Habitat dan sebagainya. It's a global punya action. So itu yang kita nak, dan kita rasa kita nak letak Shah Alam dalam peta dunia. Terima kasih.
Belilah Datuk. Global action. Manzura, any last words?
Maybe something I can share. UCLG ASPAC with our partner Cities Alliance and also UNDP. We in 2018 we did we came up with a publication on cities enabling environment ratings for at country level, 28 countries in Asia Pacific. So there are 11 criteria that we look at that sort of like that can help us gauge in terms of where or how much easier it will be for the local government to undertake localization, not only of SDG but also other global agendas. So yeah, so a lot of the criteria have been mentioned today. For example, when you talk about local revenue, somebody talk about the legislative framework and citizen participation, transparency. These are some of the criteria that can help us hone in where we can do better to help our local governments. Thank you.
Alice, any last words from you?
Yeah, maybe a last word on these challenging times that we live, especially in Europe. Of course, we talk about the SDG and how to implement them, while in Europe here we have a huge humanitarian and health crisis. And I would like to recall some elements, just one maybe. In conclusion, this experience of living in Europe during these times, this year in particular, has brought to many citizens more awareness on the importance of the taking care of our planet, the environment, but also taking care of each other, and taking care of each other in cities and the quality of life in cities. So in the unfortunately of this disaster and this tragedy, there is some light, which is the cooperation among cities and the awareness of citizens to science, how important is knowledge, and know your city and know how your city works. So maybe this is positive side at the end, just to bring to the table that some good things can come up from this, and through also the cooperation among cities. So thank you, and thank you again for the invitation. I was honored to be here today.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you so much. Yeah, Dr. Neil.
Thank you so much, Puan Noliza and everyone here. Also Alice from the EU, thank you very much. I think I only have one thing to say. UN Habitat is very much like Urbanist. We have a very big mandate, but we are very under-resourced. but nonetheless, I think the key deliverable here from us is actually the global guidance that we provide as a UN agency. We can only provide that with the close working partnerships with the EU, with Cities Alliance, with UCLG, and with all the cities. And we want to deserve to be the UN agency for local governments. And I think on that message, I think the approach that Urbanist has taken in the Malaysian context is a very good one, Dato', because it's not, it's very pragmatic. And I think with mayors, you have got to be very pragmatic, not to have, to go too far ahead. And not to showcase too much, but you still have to showcase a little bit so that you can draw in the new kind of investments, create jobs, and to create a more sustainable environment as we go forward, and hopefully not just adapt to the COVID situation, but as Alice said, hope to surmount it and build back better, build back greener. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Neil. I think a lot of wise words have been said, a lot of common thoughts also among all of us here, panelists and in the room, you know. I don't think I should recap that, you know. I think all of us have taken notes. Definitely we agree, especially with ED words and Datuk Dol Bani. Leadership is definitely important. You know, Tan Sri Jamila put a lot of wise words in her session just now. Definitely we need not only leadership but a very integrated approach in what we do. Partnership is so core, but you know, I think you all reminded me again and again that we must stand true to what it's all about. I think like the no showcasing and Alice saying that it's even more important now. We need to take care of ourselves, each other, and our planet. So I think with that, thank you very much to all of you. You all deserve a big clap for staying on. Yeah. Okay. And thank you very much to our panelists, especially the mayor, because he came all the way, despite everything. Thank you, Dato'. Yeah, Alice, can you on your screen? We're going to do a photo op. Are you going to?
Okay.
Okay, all right.